This video is going to go over section 4.3, which is solving systems of equations using the elimination method. This method has a goal of lining up our variables, and then we're going to combine the equations using either adding or subtracting to get rid of one of the variables. So if we look at this first problem, the x's both have no number in front of them, so it's like having a 1. They're the same sign, meaning they're both positive. So I'm going to subtract the two equations. So 1x minus 1x is 0x. 1y minus negative 1. So minus a negative is really plus. So 1y minus negative y is 2y. And 20 minus 4 is 16. Now I can solve this equation by dividing both sides by 2. And I get y equals 8. Just like with substitution, I can plug that into one of the original equations to solve for x. So x plus 8 equals 20. Subtract 8 from both sides. I get x equals 12. I can check that by plugging it into the other equation. So x minus y equals 4, and 12 minus 8 is 4. So that works. Another thing is it doesn't have to be the x's that you look at that match. It could be the y's. So over in the same thing, our y's both have 1s in front of them, but those are different signs. So this time we're going to add. If the numbers are the same and they have the same sign, you subtract. If they're the same number but different sides, you add everything. So x plus x is 2x. 1y plus negative 1y is 0. And 20 plus 4 is 24. Now we solve by dividing by 2, and we get x equals 12, which is the same thing we got the other way. So this just shows you it doesn't matter if the x's or the y's are the same, you just have to go by those. What's important is choosing adding or subtracting to eliminate the variable. So let's look at this one. If we look right here, the x has a 2 and a 3. Whereas the y's both have 1s. So we're going to go with the y's. And one's positive and one's negative, so we're going to add everything. 2x plus 3x is 5x. 1y plus negative 1y is 0. And 1 plus 9 is 10. Divide both sides by 5, and I get x equals 2. Plug that into one of the equations. So 2 times 2 plus y equals 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtract 4 from both sides. We get y equals negative 3. Check that by plugging them into the bottom. So 3 times 2 minus negative 3 is 9. 3 times 2 is 6. Minus a negative is plus. And 6 plus 3 is 9. So our answer is 2 comma negative 3. The next problem over to the right. This one, you're solving it the same way. Doesn't matter that it's A's and B's. So pause the video, try this one, see how you do, and then come back and check. The A's have the same number but different signs, so I'm going to add everything. Negative 2a plus 2a is 0. 1b plus 3b is 4b. Negative 3 plus 7 is 4. Divide both sides by 4, and I get b equals 1. Plug that in. Subtract 1 from each side, divide by negative 2, and I get a equals 2. Check it by plugging it into the bottom. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7, so our answer would be 2 comma 1. Alphabetical order. Next thing, what if you're looking at it and no coefficients match? Well, one way you can look at it is see if one of them has a coefficient of 1, like the y right here. And we can say, hey, if I multiply everything in the top by 3, I get the same as the bottom. For example, I'm going to choose the 3 because that's what's in front of the y. And then I'm going to distribute it to the whole equation. So 3 times 5x is 15x. 3 times negative y is negative 3y. and 3 times negative 11 is negative 33. I'm just going to slide this equation right over. And now our y's both have 3's in front of them. They're different sides, so I'm going to add them. 15x plus 12x is 17x. Negative 3y plus 3y is 0. And negative 33 plus negative 1 is negative 34. Divide both sides by 17, and I get x equals negative 2. Take one of my original equations and plug that in. 5 times negative 2 minus y equals negative 11. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Add 10 to both sides. I get negative y equals negative 1. Divide by negative 1, and I get y is positive 1. Check that by plugging them both into the bottom. So 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 3 times 1 is 3. And negative 4 plus 1 is, or negative 4 plus 3 is negative 3. So our solution is negative 2, comma 1. Now, over on this one, we don't have an x or a y that's 1. So there's nothing we can just do to one equation. So we do both. So we decide x or y. I usually pick the x just because it's right in front, so it's easier to see. But I'm going to multiply this whole equation by 2 because that's what's in front of the x here. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 2y is 4y. And 2 times 1 is 2. Don't forget to multiply the whole equation. All the terms, including the answer. That's where a lot of people go wrong. The next one, the first coefficient on top is 3, so I'm going to multiply the bottom by 3. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 3y is negative 9y. 3 times 5 is 15. Now we have the x's both have 6's. They're the same sign. They're both positive, so we're going to subtract. 6x minus 6x is 0. 4y minus negative 9y is 13y. And 2 minus 15 is negative 13. Divide both sides by 13, and I get y equals negative 1. Take one of the original equations and plug that y value in. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Add 2 to both sides, and I get 3x equals 3. Divide by 3, and I get x equals 1. Plug that into the other equation to check. So 2 times 1 minus 3 times negative 1 equals 5. 2 times 1 is 2. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. And 2 plus 3 is 5. So our solution is 1 comma negative 1. The biggest things here to remember is if you multiply by something, you have to do it to the whole equation. And make sure your x's and y's are lined up first. If they're not lined up, you could be subtracting the wrong things. So we're going to take this first equation here and move the x to the other side. So I get 5x plus 2y equals negative 6. I'm going to take that equation and, bring it over here. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom. I'm going to bring the y over. And you can add in any order. So 2x plus 5y equals 6 makes it so that both of these equations now go x, y equals the answer. Now we don't have anything that matches. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by 2. 2 times 5x is 10x. 2 times 2y is 4y. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. Multiply the bottom by 5. 5 times 2 is 10x. 5 times 5y is 25. 5 times 6 is 30. These have the same sign, so I subtract. 10x minus 10x is 0. 4y minus 25y is negative 21y. And negative 12 minus 30 is negative 42. Divide both sides by negative 21. And I get y equals 2. Now we go back to our original equation. 2 times y, which we just said was 2, equals negative 6 minus 5x. 2 times 2 is 4. I'm going to add 6 on both sides to cancel that out. And I get 10 equals negative 5x. Divide both sides by negative 5. And I get negative 2 equals x. Check that by plugging it into the bottom equation. So 2 times negative 2 equals negative 5 times y, which is 2 plus 6. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. And negative 10 plus 6 is negative 4, so that checks out. So x comma y, we have negative 2 comma 2. So, I don't know what I just did. So the same process we've been following. Now, if you didn't get something before I erased it, you can always go back in a video. You can get infinite solutions and no solutions, just like we did with substitution and graphing. When you solve these, you're going to get similar things. Either you're going to get something that's always true or something that's never true. So start by doing this first one. Hey, this x has a 1, so I can just multiply this whole thing by 2. And I would get 2x minus 4y equals 8. And then just bring the bottom one over. Negative 2x plus 4y equals negative 8. Now, the x's both have 2's. One's positive, one's negative, so we add everything. 2x plus negative 2x is 0. Negative 4y plus 4y is 0. And 8 plus negative 8 is 0. 0 always equals 0. That's true. So we have an infinite number of solutions. Doesn't matter what you put in, it'll be true. Now let's do the other one. This time we're going to multiply the bottom by 3. So the top we just slide over. 3x plus 3y equals 6. The bottom we multiply. 3x plus 3y equals 3. They're the same sign, so we subtract everything. 3x plus 3x is 0. 3y minus 3y is 0. 6 minus 3 is 3. 0 never equals 3. It just doesn't. So there's no solution. So same idea as before. You either get an always true or a never true answer. Or just 1 point. Let's look at a word problem. During strenuous exercise, an athlete can burn 10 calories per minute on a rowing machine and 11.5 calories per minute on a stair climber. If the athlete uses both machines, he burns 433 calories in a 40-minute workout. How many minutes does he spend on each? So we're looking for minutes, so our x and a y are going to have to do with the minutes of something. And the two somethings we're doing are rowing and the stair climber. Those are our two somethings. So x, let's call minutes rowing. Y, we'll call minutes doing the stair climber. We also have two totals. One of our totals is the calories. The other total is the minutes. So if x and y are minutes, we add those together and we get our total minutes. Now, if we're burning 10 calories per minute on the rowing machine, that's like saying 10 times the number of minutes. 11.5 calories per minute on the other one is 11.5 times the number of minutes. So now we have our two equations just from reading the problem. Gave us two totals, gave us numbers, we put them together. Now we can solve. I'm going to multiply the bottom by 10 because there's a 10 in front of the x here. I could choose the 11.5 and make the y's the same, but I'm choosing the 10 because multiplying by 10 is simpler in my brain. So the top, I'm going to just carry over. 10 times x is 10x. 10 times y is 10y. And 10 times 40 is 400. The x's have the same sign, so I subtract. 10x minus 10x is 0. 11.5y minus 10y is 1.5y. And 433 minus 44 is 33. Divide both sides by 1.5 to get the y alone, and I get 22. So that means 22 minutes on the stair climber, because that's what we said y was. Now to find x, plug it into one of our original equations. I'm going to use this one because there's no multiplying. We just say x plus y equals 40. So x plus 22 equals 40. subtract 22 from both sides, and I get x equals 18. So that means we're spending 18 minutes on the rowing machine. Now let's check that by plugging it in here. 10 times 18 plus 11.5 times 22. That was interesting. We want it to equal 433. So let's put it in calculator if you don't feel like doing it in your head. 10 times 18 plus 11.5 times 22 gives us 433. So that works. And there's our answer. That is 4.3. Let me know if you have any questions.